And then we'll have to answer. You're first.
Thank you.
Those are huge questions. My sense of NAFTA is that it is it has been a very difficult deal in some ways for Canadians, and we're feeling its constraints, but it's also been extremely good for Canada in lots of ways economically. You may not agree, but that is what I think. The aspect of NAFTA that our relationship with the Americans that increasingly concerns me becomes clear when you look at the map of our energy pipelines in Canada. The thing that has happened in the 1960s and 70s, the pipelines ran east-west. With the deregulation of the energy markets in the late 80s following free trade, they're all running north-south. And I think we're in a very odd position for a world energy superpower that we're supposed to be, that we import massive amounts of oil from the east, coming into the East Coast terminals, and we ship raw bitumen out of Alberta to the southern markets for processing. I think it's extremely important for us to develop a national strategy on energy which increases the capacity of our economy to provide for our own energy needs first, guaranteed national energy sovereignty, build regional energy grids, and Dion has talked about this, that strengthen the east-west linkages of our economy. The Canadian project is basically how you strengthen the east-west linkages across Canada to counteract the north-south pull. This has been the story since Confederation. And my view is that since the 80s, since the free trade deal, the east-west linkages in our economy are considerably weakened, and the north-south ones are getting stronger and stronger. And if that is left unchecked, and it has to be checked by a federal government, this country will begin to fragment even further. So that's a kind of general response to that. On the issue of poverty, the party is very strongly committed to an anti-poverty platform in our program, in our platform. And I'm not sure that the word poverty is even mentioned in the Conservative platform. We are very concerned, because we're an incredibly rich country, with the very fact that there are children in our society go to school hungry and go to bed hungry. And we have a whole set of very specific proposals about how to tackle that. Because we can't look at our fellow citizens in the eye if that's going on. I don't know whether Briony wants to add.
Well, I'd love to talk about the green shift, because I think that is precisely what it's trying to tackle, is poverty. And to me, this is an example of an incredibly innovative way of looking at taxes to tackle the three biggest challenges that we face in the 21st century: the widening gap of the rich and the poor, environmental degradation, and economic kind of stagnation, because we haven't actually realized that we've got to shift into a new economy as fossil fuels and cheap energy, which is the foundation of it, disappear. So, you know, if you look to Denmark, you look to Holland, you look to Sweden, this whole concept of using taxes as a very innovative form of solving some of the problems of a deteriorating social net, and using taxes to eliminate income tax burdens on the low to middle income areas, and deriving that revenue from all these things that we don't want, from the polluters, the people that waste, the activities of it. I mean, it's so
People who've come to the country, committed serious crimes, and whether people should be deported. There's a recent case which I think is triggering a lot of discussion, a Syrian or Lebanese gentleman. Well, you can't deport citizens, first of all. You got to be very careful. their citizens, we're not deporting anybody, should never deport anybody. I think there's a case for deportation. I think there's also a case for imprisonment. I mean, we can't be made fools of here. I'm the son of an immigrant. I believe also that immigration and a constant arrival of, you know, about 250,000 new people a year is an enormous source of strength for our country and for our economy. I'm in favor of graduated increase in immigration because we're facing zero population growth, above all in the four western provinces, and all of the net labor market growth is going to be met by immigration. So we want the economy to expand. We've got to be taking in more people, but we got to make sure they succeed. And then, this is the quid pro quo, we have to have a system in which, where there are rules, people infringe those rules, there are consequences. You can't run a system that will be credible to Canadians unless there are consequences for people who game the system. We should allow the existing trust to continue, and eliminate the Flaherty tax regime on those trusts and allow them to continue. I mean, my view of the income trust is that the wake-up call for me was going out to Calgary and seeing the use that the income trust instrument had been in allowing investment in startup Canadian energy companies. And Flaherty clobbered the investors, small investors, but he also clobbered the energy sector, which seemed to me a pretty stupid thing to do, especially if you want to boost Canadian ownership in the energy sector and want to boost small as opposed to large outfits. So we want income trust to continue. The taxation proposal that we put in deals would be, we would tax foreign owners of income trusts to stop the tax leakage problem that we would, that has arisen. But we think that this broken promise, which wiped out $25 billion of the invested savings of Canadians, was a massive jolt to the economic credibility of this government. And we think that they used a tactical nuclear weapon on a problem which they also misdescribed. That is, the problem was tax leakage. They exaggerated the amount of tax leakage, put in a punitive tax which killed an entire economic sector, which was a valuable investment tool. We think they made entirely the wrong decisions. And we would keep a trust regime going. We think Omar Khadr should be repatriated to Canada. We think Guantanamo should be closed, and we need to say and we think that war resistors who are faced with stop loss, that is compulsory re-enlistment, and have a moral objection, having served a term, and then they're forced to go back and they disagree with being there, should be granted asylum in Canada.